Hey everyone, welcome back to White Sparrow Living, Luke 12:6. I'm Wendy and I'm so happy you're here. It was such a nice day. I decided to do my intro out here using my ATUMTEK, what's this called? Using my ATUMTEK tripod and selfie stick. But I'll tell you more about that a little bit later. If this is your first time stopping by, welcome, and I hope you'll consider hitting that subscribe button down below, as well as the little bell right next to it so that you can be notified every time I upload a brand new video. If you like these projects, don't forget to give them a thumbs up, comment, let me know what you think. So now, without further ado, let's get started. Oh, and I can use my Bluetooth remote. For this Dollar Tree DIY, I'm using 2 of these house-shaped frames, and these are 10 inches tall, so they're nice sized and perfect for this project. So I'm just measuring and marking the thickness of one frame onto the other so that I can cut it apart and it'll be the same size all the way around once we attach it to the full frame. And that'll make sense in just a second. So then we'll pull out all of the little tabbies, and then I'm using a Dollar Tree baby saw, it's so cute, to cut on my lines. And I was a little surprised at how easy this was to cut through whatever material this is made of. But if you just pull the saw towards you, that's when the teeth grab and do the cutting. I'm also using a wood medallion, and I added some water to my crumbly Dollar Tree spackle, and that was a suggestion by a sweet viewer. And I'm just going to fill that hole up, and then we'll sand off the leftover spackle and the stickies from the tags. And then we'll paint both sides with Waverly White chalk paint. And then on the top side, I used a wet wipe to take most of that paint off, letting that pretty brown color peek through. Now I'm using some Dollar Tree all-purpose cement to attach my side pieces, and I did one side at a time and then used a little clamp at the bottom to hold it in place. And then once it was completely dry, maybe 5 minutes or so, I did the other side. And then here I'm hot gluing 4 PINECRAFT wood beads to the bottom. But I ended up using my cement for these as well so that they will stay in place. So then we're going to use our chalk paint again and give it a chippy kind of coverage because we want that wood grain and pretty color to peek through. And then we'll attach our medallion to the bottom, and this is going to serve 2 purposes. It's going to hold our candle, and it's also securing our lantern so it stays nice and sturdy. Next, we'll add some Walmart eucalyptus to the top and side using some jute twine. And I made sure to make the front parts of my frames that don't have the cutouts in back facing forward. You know, where you put the glass and the backboard inside? Those pieces will be more toward the back, if that makes sense. And then I tied a sweet little bow at the top and left the tails hanging for some additional cuteness, and then added a Dollar Tree candle, and it's done. Now at first I used the ones with the gold at the bottom, and you'll see that in a second, and it was super pretty, but I don't have any gold in my farmhouse decor, so I used plain white ones. But I think any candle or color would be just as beautiful, and it just depends on your personal preference and style. Well, I loved this so much, I had to give him a friend. And oh my goodness, I love how these turned out. And we've only got about $9 in the pair. I love them, and I hope you like them too. For this project, I'm doing a Pottery Barn dupe for the frames using 3 of these Dollar Tree signs, 3 off-brand command hooks, 3 plastic bracelets from the toy section, and 3 eye hooks from a Dollar Tree picture hanging kit. Now I had planned to use the board from the sign, but the hanger thingy goes all the way through, so it wouldn't work for this project. So instead I used this 11 by 14 canvas from the Crafter's Square aisle, And you can cut these to any size you need using a utility knife. And if you cut it from the front side, you'll get a cleaner edge. So I first painted the canvases white, and then I started painting using a small paintbrush and my Waverly chalk paint in ink to make an outline of a church. And I wanted this to be a rough sketch and super simple and rustic looking. But you do have to be careful because, as I quickly learned, a church steeple can easily become a rocket ship. So I had to redo one. No, actually, I scratched 2 rocket ships. Anyway, once I got the outlines done, I went back and filled them in and also made the lines a little bit skinnier and gave it a rough finish so they weren't solid. And I also wanted to give my churches a little bit of texture by layering the paint and making it a little thicker in some areas and dragging my brush through the paint once it gets semi-dry. So you just want to put your Bob Ross on and have fun with it, because I really don't think you can mess this project up. So now I'm going to paint my frames black, as well as our bracelets and all of those hooks. And then I'm going to open those eye hooks using some needle nose pliers, just enough to fit my bracelets inside. And then we'll screw those into the middle top of our frames. And then once it's in, we'll put that bracelet in the opening and close it back up. And then we'll touch up that area with some more paint. And then we're going to distress our frames and our hooks with some sandpaper. And this is why I use the wood grain hooks, so that when I sand them, you'll see some brown poking through and not white. And then I ended up sealing these with some matte Mod Podge because these frames have a pretty shiny finish. So I didn't want any more of that paint to scratch off. So I really liked the look of my churches, but once I put them into the black frames, they looked a little plain and there was just too much of a stark contrast. So I decided to use some watered down black and white chalk paint to make a really pretty gray and to make it look like a watercolor background, and then just gave it a jagged, unfinished edge. And I think they look so much prettier and it makes the churches really stand out. And here they are, all finished, and I think these turned out so pretty, and of course Christine has already claimed them. Again, another $9 project that anyone can do, and the Pottery Barn version is about $40 for each of their 8x10 frames and $50 for their 11x14s, and theirs don't even have any Jesus inside of them. But I love them and I hope you like them too. For this Dollar Tree DIY, I'm using this nice big, I guess it's an ice bucket because they always carry these with their summer line, as well as a plant hanger chain. So I know this sounds crazy, but we're going to cut this bucket in half using a super sharp craft knife. And if you go very slowly, it shouldn't crack. And if it does, like I did on my first cut, you can go back with some scissors and clean up that edge. So then I gave it a really good sanding so that my paint would adhere and not chip off, and then painted the whole piece a solid white, and it only took 2 coats. And then I went back in with the non-watered down mixture of the leftover gray paint that I used for our church canvases. So I just went over the bottom line and around the edges, but I was using the wrong brush for this and it ended up getting thicker and thicker. So I just went with it and then decided to freehand a flour sack stripe. Not a great idea. And it just went off the rails and got out of control. So I had to fix it as well as I could with a white paint pen to get them semi-straight. But I should have totally taped these off, but it's still cute. And then I'm also going to cut the edges or the corners of my bucket with some scissors and make those a little bit rounded. So then we're going to punch a hole in both corners and in the back, and you want to put them pretty close to the top so your clips from the chain will fit on there. I didn't account for that and had to punch 2 holes on one side. So please do as I say and not as I do. That way I can make the mistakes for you. So then I took out 5 links from the front 2 lengths of chain and then left the back one the same length it was, but I pulled off the clip and attached it by opening that link and then closing it up. Now you can fill this with anything, and I think seasonal greenery would be absolutely adorable in here. And I'm just adding some more of that Walmart eucalyptus. I'm not even adding any foam or anything. I just folded the stems in, and I don't even think I took the tags off. But then I added some white hydrangeas. Oh, and then to make it a little bit heavier in the back and then kind of be raised in the front, I added a bag of sand to weigh it down. And here's where I actually have this hanging in my kitchen, which is the worst possible placement for lighting, but I wanted to show you how I hung it, and I'll show it again in my dining room with better lighting. But I am pretty smitten with this piece. You obviously don't have to have a scale to hang it from, but I will link a video I did a while back to make a Dollar Tree hanging scale, but you would just hang this from it instead of, I think I used a pie pan in that one. Anyway, I love this, crookedy lines and all, and I hope you like it too. Okay, so I am going to show you the coolest tripod, selfie stick, phone holder ever by ATUMTEK. And this is what I now use for all of my filming. It is so much more convenient for me since you know I'm all over the place with my crafting projects. So I can just pick it up and take it wherever I'm going, like my paint station or my garage to use the saw or wherever I am. And they have two different sizes. They both have Bluetooth wireless remote controls that attaches to the side so you don't lose it. The large one extends up to 51 inches and then closes all the way down to about 12 inches. And then the smaller one extends to about 32 inches and closes down to about 7.5 inches. So you can stash them anywhere and you always have it. It fits pretty much any phone. I will have a special link in the description box below, and if you use the coupon code Wendy Curtis, you'll get 15% off. So on to our final project. Most of you know my sweet friend and sister in Christ, Heidi at Heidi Somble DIY. Well, she made these adorable pray books and had them staged between these beautiful corbels that she got at Hobby Lobby. They were regularly priced at $20 each, but she got them half off. But I didn't even see them online, so they might not even carry them anymore. But I had this piece of styrofoam that you've probably seen me use at my painting station to stick dowels into when I paint beads or ornaments. So it's super ugly and has holes all in it. And I got this at Walmart for $7.97. I'm also using some all-purpose caulking that I got from the Dollar Tree. So I got this hot wire foam factory cutter for Christmas, and I haven't even taken it out of the box and thought this would be the perfect project to test it on. So first I'm going to cut this in half, and it measures about 12 by 18 inches. So I'm cutting it at 9 inches. So once you're done, you'll have two pieces at 12 by 9. And you could totally do this with a regular knife, but this was much cleaner and way more fun. And then I made a template on some cardstock by looking at Heidi's Corbel and then just kind of copying the curves and shape. And then I traced that onto my foam sheets and then cut them out. And then, oh my goodness, this was so much fun to do, but there was a little bit of a learning curve, and once I got the hang of it, I drove a lot better. And then I also got this cutting wand for Christmas, but I don't think this is really for styrofoam. I think it's more for like that cushion foam, but I figured I would use it anyway. And that's how I cut the insides. And in the real corbels, they don't go all the way through. So after I went around the perimeter, I used a craft knife to scrape it all out, and then my fingernail to smooth it out even more. So then I started frosting my Corbel cake using a craft stick. Again, so much messy funness, I can't even tell you. And then to smooth it out, I just dipped my fingers into a bowl of water once it had set a little bit, and then ran it along the surface. Originally, I was going to make it super flat, but I really liked the textury goodness, so I stopped. But you can smooth it completely out if you want to. So I let these dry overnight, and then the next day I painted them white with my Waverly chalk paint in white. And then for those sanded marks, I mixed some of my truffle chalk paint with some white to get a super creamy, yummy beigey color. And I just started making some marks here and there and along the edges. Now I really like this look too, but you know how much I love that powdery white look that I use so often. So I went back over it with my white, but I really do like both finishes, and it was really hard to decide which one to go with. But I think there's not really a wrong choice here. It's just going to be beautiful either way you go. And if you do opt for the powdery look, just make sure that you let your beigey color dry completely first so that it doesn't start getting muddy or blend in with that white. And here they are, all finished, and I love these so much. I was so excited how they turned out. I love them. Heidi loved them, and I hope you like them too. I hope you enjoyed all of these projects, and if you did, please give this video a thumbs up, comment, share it, watch it again. I also wanted to give a quick shout out to a new friend and DIYer here on YouTube, Tracy Ann at Tracy Ann Creations. She just started a new channel a couple of months ago, so I would love it if you could give some help and support her and give her a little jump start and encouragement. Thank you guys so much for watching. I love you all. I hope everyone has a blessed day, and remember to always be the light. Bye.